Hey guys, Andrew Murdoch here, and this is Blue Collar and Rich. Today I want to talk about compound interest. This is a subject that I've been wanting to cover for a long time now. When you get your head wrapped around this subject, you're going to wish that you understood it a lot earlier. Believe me, I know I did. You know, they teach a lot of things in school, but I certainly didn't learn anything about credit cards or mortgages or taxes. And when I first got my head wrapped around compound interest, this was one of those subjects where I definitely asked myself, why don't they cover this stuff in more detail in school? It's a no-brainer, right? It just makes sense. I'm going to start this thing off with a Albert Einstein quote. I'm sure you've all heard of Albert Einstein before, and who knows if he said this or not, but I prefer to believe he did. So it goes, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And I find that this is a very profound quote. One of the things that I want to focus on in this video is the fact that everything you spend or make today has a future value or a future cost associated to it. This is maybe a new way of thinking for a lot of people, and I feel like just this one idea, this one thing alone, will just catapult most people further ahead than they could have otherwise, right? So let's jump right into this here, guys. The example that I want to cover with you today is a length of investment for 35 years. It's just a random number I picked. And really quickly, guys, this is a free calculator that I downloaded online. Any one of you can do this. I'm not special. I didn't create this. This is something I found online and just downloaded for free. There's all kinds of special calculators online that you can download, and I'm just using Excel here, okay? So now that we got that out of the way, so the initial investment is $0. I've decided to start with nothing. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to ignore taxes because your taxes are highly dependent on what investment vehicle you decide on, and it really goes beyond the scope of this video because I want to focus on compound interest, and I don't want it to be more confusing than it has to be. We're also going to have a very respectable 5% annual earnings rate, and it's going to be a fixed rate, so it's going to stay at 5% because again, I just want to focus on compound interest and how it works. We're going to do a monthly contribution of $100, and we're going to ignore for the time being an additional annual deposits. And for the purposes of this video, we are going to be calculating our compound interest monthly. Now, why am I doing that? Well, I'm going to assume that we are invested in company stocks that are paying monthly dividends. And the reason why I like that so much, it's really powerful here, guys. This example, this graph here is going to show you how compounding interest is calculated on a continuous basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, and yearly basis. The yearly line here is green, and in this example, you start with $1,000, and after 10 years, the example here, you end up with a little over $6,000 if your investments are compounded annually. Now, for the exact same investments, the exact same scenario, if it was compounded monthly, you would have a little over $7,000 on this red line there. Okay, if it's hard to see, I'm just put my cursor on the line right there. So after a decade, you're going to have an extra $1,000 just based on how it's compounded. So that's why I like to talk about how the frequency of how your interest is being compounded because it's everything. It can make a huge difference over a lengthy period of time. Currently, I'm not aware of any investment vehicles that are compounded continuously. If anyone comes across anything, I would highly like to know, really like to know. Please leave a comment below the video, and we would love to have a chat about that. So let's get that out of the way. And under this example here, so for 35 years, it would work out to a total investment of $42,000 with an interest earned of $71,609, which is a total of $113,609. Now, we're going to assume that this is the number we need to retire on. Let's say, for argument's sake, let's say we have to work a regular job for 35 years, and we're going to contribute $100 a month into this investment portfolio, and after 35 years, we're going to hit that magic number that we need to retire on. Because I want to just get that point across for just so that things make sense for later on in the discussion here. Okay, so here we have a graph, a visual representation of what our money is doing. Guys, I'm a visual learner. I hope you are too. If you're on YouTube, you probably are, or Facebook, or wherever you're watching this. It certainly helps me, and this is just a great representation of that hockey stick growth that people love talking about when it's when they're referring to investments. You can see here it looks like around year 26, 27, that is when your interest equals the amount of principal. Okay, so you can see in the early years here, interest isn't doing a heck of a lot. It's kind of pathetic and sad actually, but it takes 26, 27 years, and then after that, now your interest is actually generating more income than your principal, the that $100 a month that you're contributing to it. Okay, and then scrolling down here further, we've got some numbers that paint more of a picture. We got the year over here. There, our earnings rate is obviously not changing. It's static. We're going to hold that at 5%. The interest, again, in the early years isn't doing a heck of a lot. We're going to ignore taxes. And we're assuming that we're just contributing $100 a month, so $1,200 a year throughout the 35 years. Now, what some people like to do actually is contribute a percentage of their income into their investment portfolio. The reason why that can be a valuable thing is we're assuming, of course, over the years you're, you will receive increases in pay, and so that would result into a larger contribution to your investment portfolio. But again, just keeping everything static so that we can get our heads wrapped around compound interest, we're going to assume for this that we're only contributing $1,200 a year, $100 a month, compounded monthly. That's important too. Okay. And after 35 years, like I said, we're going to reach our goal of $113,609. We're going to say that is when we have enough to retire on. Now, what I want to do now is I'm going to throw a monkey wrench into the plans because when it comes to compound interest, guys, I want to be 100% clear here that consistency is everything. And why is that so important? Because human beings, well, we have a reputation of not being very consistent. So here at year 10, I'm going to assume that something happened in your life and you need to withdraw $5,000. Maybe you had to buy a car, maybe there was a family vacation, or maybe there was a family emergency and you had to pull out $5,000 because you couldn't get it anywhere else and you saw that you had $15,500 in your investment portfolio. So you knew you had enough funds, you thought, what the hell, I'm just going to do this, no biggie, I'm going to pull out $5,000. Now, what did that do to my compound interest? So I'm going to scroll down here, and at year 35, instead of $113,609, I'm left with $96,202. Guys, that's a difference of $17,407. Now, why am I harping on that? I'm harping on that because this $5,000, it's not actually $5,000. There is a future cost to that. That $5,000 actually represents $17,500 to you. Okay. Now, I'm going to scroll up here and I'm going to change the length of investment to 38 years. Okay, 38 years. So let's scroll back down here. As you can see, here's the dip. This killed your compound interest, guys. This is hurt. This is gonna hurt you. This is painful. So at year 10, I took out 5,000. Okay, so that set us back. So if I'm right here, I got my cursor on the total, and I scroll back here, it looks like about year 7. So I've basically set myself back to year 7. I've just lost 3 years. And if I'm again looking at where I was at year 9, scrolling ahead here, it looks like about year 12. Yeah. So in this situation, I'm going to have to wait until year 12 to get back to where I was at year 9. And year 10 is now back to where I was at year 7. So I've lost a substantial amount of time to contribute into my investment portfolio. And the reason why I changed the investment length to 38 years is because when I scroll back down, after 38 years, I'm left with $115,612. So what does that mean? Well, that 5 grand either means $17,500 loss, a loss to you, or it represents working almost another 3 years longer so that you can still reach the minimum you need to retire on. Now, really think about that. Get your head wrapped around that. Are you willing to work an additional 3 years just because you needed to pull out 5 grand out of your investment portfolio? That's a very difficult question to ask. Now all of a sudden you're going to be a little bit more hesitant. Oh wait, do I really need that $5,000? Is there another way for me to get my hands on that $5,000? Maybe I should just work some more overtime shifts or pick up a part-time job or make some money elsewhere. I've got lots of content out there that I put on how to make money in extra places. And there's tons of websites out there too, guys, that teach people how to make extra money. So really focus on the future value of what you're spending and what you're earning today. Now I'm going to flip this on us here. So instead of taking out $5,000, let's assume that you came into some money. Maybe there was an inheritance. Maybe you just came into some money And because I want to compare apples and apples here, we're going to change the length of investment back to 35 years. Come back down here to the graph. You can see now instead of a dip, now we got a nice spike here, a nice comfortable spike. It's giving you a nice cushion now, and now your compound interest is growing that much quicker. So at year 10, I added $5,000. What happened down here at year 35? Wow, look at that. Now I've got $131,015. Now that is an additional $17,406. All right, so if I decide to work those 35 years or contribute to the 35 years, now I'm retiring with an extra cushion. Or the other option would be, look at this. At year 33, I actually have met my minimum of 113 grand. So if I choose to, I could actually retire a couple years early, or I could stop contributing to this investment portfolio a couple years earlier. So again, this $5,000 has a future value attached to it. And that this kind of information just fires me up. I know I'm a big money geek here, guys, but I hope you found this information valuable. Please leave a like or a thumbs up if you found this beneficial, and subscribe to my channel if you want more content like this. I'm a big money geek. I'm going to be putting out all kinds of content like this in the future, and I love doing it. And leave some comments in the comment section there, guys. Let me know what kind of subjects you want me to make videos on. I'm happy to produce all kinds of stuff for you, and I want to engage in the conversation with you guys because guess what? At the end of the day, that's how I'm going to learn too, right? So I'm gonna learn that much more about how to get ahead if we all participate in this conversation together. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.